Alright, welcome back. So here we are, we're in Module 6. Now, Module 6, for the most part, is some rehash to a degree for stuff that we've already done. Conceptually, they just dig a little deeper. Now, there's two perspectives on this. One is if we're dealing with a standalone server, and the other is if we're dealing with a cloud or an Azure implementation of server. I'm going to focus on, at this point, a standalone, and this is going to be compared to some of the previous modules. It should be a fairly light module, task-wise. You'll have homework to do. You need to respond to 2 prompts. Make sure that you are thorough in your responses and that there's sufficient depth of analysis in your responses. It's a college level course. This is a sophomore level college course. So a couple of sentences won't get it for this assignment. I've got some other resources between additional video and a Microsoft step-by-step guide for you to review to prep for that homework. You're not limited to that. I strongly encourage you to use the discussion, talk about the concepts, find resources outside of the course to share with each other, to support each other relative to this module's homework. Okay. So with that said, when it comes to Active Directory, next video we'll walk through the migration from Server 2008 up to Server 2022, the differences that exist. We discussed the hardware requirements, and if you wanted to, you could go through do this in a virtual machine. In essence, we've done it, but we haven't. We haven't migrated from a previous version up because they were already set up as 2022. We did implement the role of ADDS, but this module doesn't focus on implementing the role. So the understanding you've already implemented the role, and Microsoft has come up with a newer version. Now you have to migrate your server from the current version to the new version. And when I say current, the version currently installed on your system. So it could be 2016, 2019, 2012, whatever it may be. You would then migrate to the version, our destination version, and here we're talking about ADDS 2022. Now, we can, and some of the things that we'll get into in the videos and the other resources are promoting a domain member to be a domain controller, that aspect of it. And we may do that with our secondary server, that's server 02, in the future. We're not going to interact with those systems or modify those virtual machines in this module. This is more, we're dealing with the theoretical, the academic side of it, more than the hands-on side of it. Okay? So there's a myriad of requirements associated with it. They're touched on in the next video and step-by-step, as well as that step-by-step guide. Much of this we've gone through and done to a degree, where we created our domain and made server 01 a member of the domain. Now, please note that the concepts, the tasks in CyberHub, those virtual machines that we are building. If you have not completed the task successfully, you need to get that done, because things that we're going to do moving forward rely on successful completion of the tasks. So partially complete is not going to be sufficient for you to move forward. These things need to get completed. So if you've run into problems, reach out to me, reach out to others in the discussion, and see what we can do to get whatever the issues that exist resolved. Ignoring it will not make it go away, will not make anything any better. It always makes it worse. So if issues exist in your VMs, let's get that addressed before we move forward. So this is kind of a pause module. So with that said, a lot of what's taken place in this module is a PowerShell version or PowerShell commands, the planning of what takes place, and the life cycle of how we go about migrating from one version to another. Now, I want you to look to see online what resources you find and what information you find relative to the migration life cycle, or migrating from one iteration or version of Microsoft Server to another. Primarily, we're talking about domain controllers, ADDS. So, in the discussions, bring those sources in. They will help not just you, but others when it comes to the homework this week. All right. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And here's a image of what we're talking about with the life cycle. So we've got an implementation, we've got to maintain it, we audit it, we plan for the next one. We implement it, we maintain it, we audit it to see if we need to upgrade, plan it, do it. With that said, I will see you when I see you next.